Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Conversation with Grandma Polly. Welcome to season 5, episode 3. Please remember to share and like Conversation with Grandma Polly on Facebook and YouTube. Tonight we will be giving away your animation of your logo. But in order to receive that, you have to like our page, share it amongst friends, and in the comment section, type in the word done. We will be checking and we will be looking and we will announce our winner at the end. You have to stay until the end. Put a pin right there and we'll be right back. Yes, this is that moment that we come to you with the Did You Know? Did you know it is likely that most households have been affected by mental health in some way? Mental health is a common and universal aspect of human being, and various factors can contribute to its impact on individuals and families. Some of the factors include individual mental health, life events, economic stress, learning challenges, social isolation, and abuse, just to name a few. This episode of Conversation with Grandma Polly is dedicated to everyone who's battling with some form of mental health. Put a pin right there. Remember to like, share, and like some more, and then comment in our comment box. Done. So we're going to take a moment to introduce you to our featured guest tonight, Ms. Barjon Hall, founder of the nonprofit Solidshe organization. Y'all, let's welcome.
Tonight's guest, Barjon Hall, is an entrepreneur, an inspirational speaker, a mental health coach, and a self-published author of Remembering Me When Bipolar Makes Me Forget. Barjon is also the founder of Solidshe Incorporated, a community-based nonprofit organization dedicated to mental wellness. Through her own life's journey, filled with low self-esteem, a negative self-image, and a bipolar diagnosis, Barjon was determined to overcome the crippling effects of negative self-talk and learn how to silence her inner critic. Along the way, Barjon discovered that the development of self-worth and self-awareness is one of the most powerful tools a woman could ever possess. Since her revelation, she has been on a mission to help empower women in mind, body, and spirit, and is allowing her voice and her story to be told. Barjon is utilizing Solidshe Incorporated as a platform to encourage and inspire women by providing them with the necessary tools, support, and a safe space of healing for those who are struggling with their mental health. Barjon and Solidshe Incorporated seeks to empower every woman everywhere. You can follow Barjon on LinkedIn at Barjon Hall, CPSS. That's BarjonHallCPSS. And you may also follow her on Facebook and Instagram at Barjan Hall. And visit and subscribe to her website at Solidshe.org. That's SOLIDSHE.org. And without further ado, Conversations with Grandma Polly friends and followers, let's give a warm welcome to our very special guest, Barjan Hall.
Yes, yes. Good evening and welcome, Barjan. We're really excited to have you here this evening. I know your story. I've heard your story so many times, and it's like we've got to get her on here because there are so many people out there who are dealing with some of the same issues that you're dealing with. And when I found out you had your new book that just dropped and is out there, we want to put you out here on this platform. And not to mention, before I allow you to speak, you were the winner of the first logo animation that we gave away. And guys, here is proof that we're doing what we say that we do because Barjan was the first winner, and now we're giving away another one tonight. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we go into the question?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Is there anything you want to say to the people before we get started?
I just want to say thank you for having me. It is a pleasure. The introduction was everything. I'm so humbled and grateful. Hello, everyone.
Right. And had you had the opportunity to see the animation of your logo yet?
I did, and I absolutely love it. I love it. I haven't put it
Okay.
out there yet, but I love it.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
that represents Solidshe. So thank you for
Awesome.
paying attention to detail.
And of course, she's speaking to my brother Kenneth of KJ Multimedia Solutions, who does all the videography, all the videos that you guys see. So, Kenny, we want to shout you out and give you a great big thank you also. Guys, remember if you have a business, share, like, and comment done for your opportunity to win one of his logos. So now that we have that part covered, we're going to go into the conversation. And my first question for you, Barjan, is how old were you when you were first diagnosed with mental illness?
So I was age 13 when I was first diagnosed with depression.
You was
Yes,
age 13 when you were first diagnosed with depression. Okay,
correct.
now you found out at the age of 13, but how did you elaborate on that a little bit? I don't want to get ahead of you. Elaborate on that a little bit. How did that come? How did you find out about
Okay, so when I was I think I was in middle school, I was pretty popular. I played sports. I had a lot of friends. I loved to sing. I loved to draw. I was very creative. And then I remember during this time that I felt like I wasn't as creative anymore. I felt like I didn't belong in the spaces that I frequented in school, um, in the cafeteria, in a lot of the common places where all the students would meet. I felt I didn't belong in those spaces anymore. And I remember feeling like I just did not fit in with any of my friends. I felt lost, I felt alone. And I remember crying a lot, and I didn't really know why. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden, I just felt like my world was crashing down on me, and I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. at such a young age. And I believe I began, questioning, my mom, like, what's wrong? Why do I feel this way? And I just remember acting out at that age. And I believe at 13, we went to go see a therapist and talk to some doctors where they diagnosed me with depression at 13.
Okay. So you were diagnosed with depression at 13,
Yes.
and then you found out you were dealing with another disorder. What was that? And at what age?
Okay. So as my life, you know, um, I went on with my life. I think I was around 16 years old where I began showing, I guess, signs of like having these highs and these low lows, right? Um, I felt like I would go off into this space of wanting to do a lot of things that I normally wouldn't do. And at 16, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that was really challenging to hear that because at that time I didn't know what that meant. Um, but I was diagnosed at 16. I don't know if you want to know like how that came about, where I was when I found out I was diagnosed, but that it was a hard thing to hear because what does that mean? At 16, what is that?
And but wait a minute. You say bipolar. And, we hear this word a lot. Um, Sometimes it's on the serious side, or someone may say something to somebody in a joking way. In a jokingly way, and say, "Oh, stop acting like you got bipolar." And I think a lot of times people use that word, not even knowing the definition of it. Could you tell us
Right.
what bipolar is? Could you explain that to us?
Yes. So first, I'm going to tell you what it is not. It's not just a mood swing. It's not something that you play with. It's not something that you say, oh, the weather is bipolar or my sister's acting bipolar. Bipolar is not just one way of being, right? Bipolar is a lot of different things that we don't really talk about. And that's what I'm here for today to kind of shed light on what bipolar is and what it is not. For me, bipolar is living almost two different extremes. Like you have your high highs, which is your mania. You have your low low, which is your depression. And then you have your in between phase where it's you, it's me, it's Barjan, right? And I know that sounds a little difficult to understand, but when I experience like high highs, it means that I can begin to start a lot of projects. Um, you never feel fulfilled in those moments of mania. It's like you're always looking for the next high, whatever that is to you. It could be buying a brand new car, an expensive car. It could be buying a new house, could be having a new man. It could be a lot of different things, but you're always searching for this new experience, new high. Um, and it almost feels euphoric, right? It feels good to the person who is experiencing mania at the time because you feel like you have all this energy. You feel you're that girl. I could do this. I could do that. I could go here. I can go here. Meanwhile, it's actually the beast called mania that is controlling your life at that time, if that makes sense.
It does.
Then,
It does. It's similar
yeah.
to what you're explaining. It's similar to. I remember having a friend, and I never looked at it as mental illness. We look at people We have some people who overindulge in food, and that gives them that's their feel good type of thing. Or I had this friend who would go out and shop today, and she would buy all this stuff, and then a week later, she's taking it back to the store because she was on high when she was out purchasing. But then once that
Yeah.
high was gone, she came back either to that middle or the low in what you're describing. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
That is a part of it. It could be a part of it. Now, it may look different for different people. I know for me,
Mhm.
I tend to want to buy a lot of different things, and I may already have that item at home. But this thing, right? This manic person is like a different entity. It's like she wants so much more than what she has. She's not satisfied what she already has. Meanwhile, like Barjan, like when I'm in myself, and I know it sounds a little weird, a little off, but when I'm me, I am very peaceful. I'm calm. I'm chill. I like nature. I like to just, do simple things that bring me joy. Operating in mania, I need, I need, I need, I want. I'm always looking for something else. And it's very, very exhausting. But in the midst of you being in mania, you don't really know that you're in mania unless someone tells you. You understand? And it's hard for me to decipher, like when I'm in it, that I'm actually manic, and I don't really understand that I'm manic until I fall into a depressive phase. And that's the low part of bipolar. That's the depression side of it. And that's the side that will destroy you as well, because when you're depressed or dealing with depression, you don't feel worthy of anything. You don't feel like you belong. You begin to isolate yourself. You feel like you're not good enough anymore. You feel like your home is not your home anymore. It's like you don't recognize the people and the places that love you or that are there for you or that are home. It just feels like
Mhm.
death internally, to be honest with you.
Wow. Wow.
And I
That's
hope I'm
deep.
not being too dark, but I'm just being honest. That's what I feel whenever I experience it.
But I love that you explained it that way, and the reason I say that for myself is because we live in a society where people are speaking about it more, but
Right.
in our culture, we came from a culture where the brain don't get sick. It's either you're no manners, you're ungrateful, or we just gonna pray it away.
Right.
That's the culture that we came from. And I'm so happy to have you here tonight speaking about this because people are starting to speak up more now. And I believe the more attention and the more awareness that is out there is going to help other people who are dealing with these same things to face
Yes.
the reality of it so they will know how to deal with it. Your honesty is just I, I can't even find a word for it right now because there are so many people who are still hiding behind it in shame because they don't realize the brain gets sick just like the rest of the body. If your chest hurt, what do? You run to the doctor because you think you're having a heart attack, and a lot of times it's just gas. Or if your arms or your feet hurt too long, if your back hurt, you're going to seek medical attention. You
Right.
get a toothache, you're going to run to the dentist.
Right.
But then when it comes down to the issue of the brain, it has had such a stigmatization with it for so long.
Yes.
You know, people still don't know how to deal with it, but I think we're getting a little closer to having a more understanding of these things that's going on, and I just appreciate your honesty so much. And now we're going to go to another segment because you took me there.
Okay.
And when I say, a lot of people, they figure we don't need mental health. But how did you find how did you find out you were dealing with bipolar? You answered that one.
Right.
But when you found out your diagnosis, what was your family's reaction?
So, okay, when I was 16, that was back in what, 1996. So we didn't really talk
Mhm.
about mental illness back then, especially in the Black and Brown communities, right? So when I found out that I was diagnosed and I began to have conversations with my family, they weren't very supportive because they were undereducated on what mental illness is, what it looks like, and who it really affects, right? So I don't blame my family. I don't blame our community. However, at that moment, I just wanted someone to understand. I wanted someone to allow me to speak, allow me to operate in my truth, allow me to have a voice, at 16. And I think that's where the issue lies. It's not the fact that I'm 16 and I'm living through a mental illness. It's the fact that I can't speak openly about it, right? Um, when I would try to talk about my feelings, how I didn't feel like I belonged, how I felt worthless, how I felt like I didn't have anything to wear, or I didn't want to go to school because I felt sick physically. Like when you're dealing with a mental illness, especially like depression or anxiety, it makes you feel sick physically. So I had physical symptoms and I did not want to go to school anymore. Um, I just didn't have anyone to stand in that gap to say, okay, let me have a conversation with my daughter, or let me have a conversation with my sister, or let me have a conversation with this little girl and let me advocate for her. That just didn't happen. So at 16, I had to take it upon myself to do the research, to find people who would listen to me. And I knew even at that early age that I was going to be an advocate for myself and for other people who struggle, who suffer in silence, because it's not the actual mental illness that's killing us. It's the fact that we can't speak about it that's killing us.
Mm.
So for me, speaking up to silence stigma, that is my purpose in life. I never wanted to be the poster child for bipolar disorder or for mental illness. But it's like the more I speak about it, the more I heal. And the more I heal, the more my family heals. The more my family heals, the more the community heals, so forth and so on. So I'm purposed to do this. And so that's why I'm transparent and I try to be as honest as I can with my journey because I know it's going to help someone else. I want to be that person that I needed when I was 16 years old.
Yes. I mean, even with the fact of, you going through this, taking this upon yourself to do the research. So you could actually understand what you were dealing with because being diagnosed with that at first, I'm quite sure that was a shocker to you also, because it's stuff that we didn't talk about in our community. But
Absolutely.
has this disorder in any way at time create wedges between you, families, and friends because they didn't understand?
Yes, it has. Let me tell you about that. So, someone that is living through, and I keep saying living through because we're doing this thing. It's a journey, right? We're living through it.
Mhm.
It affects every aspect of your life. And it definitely affects your relationships with the people who are closest to you. Now, I can only speak for myself and what I dealt with, which is the bipolar disorder, because you are living, I guess, with maybe different personalities, for lack of better words. Sometimes it's hard to maintain a relationship, or it's hard to maintain a friendship that you have. It's hard to be a daughter. It's hard to be a mother. It's hard to be a friend because your brain is doing different things at different times. And it becomes very overwhelming. You tend to forget who your loved ones really are. So it does affect relationships. And then on the other side of it, where you have loved ones, you have people who say they love you and say they support you, but they also won't do their research. Like there's so much information out here about mental illness, specifically with I deal with bipolar. There's a lot of information on YouTube and Google, and not a lot of people will do the research to find out, like, okay, my friend or my, my woman, my wife, my whatever, is struggling. Let me find out how I can help her or how I can support her. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that support never comes because people don't understand how deep or how real it gets for people who have a mental illness or a brain illness, because that's what it is something wrong, something going on in your brain. And people don't understand how hard it is to live with a brain that is sick sometimes. So,
Okay. Because I hear many stories on that where families are ripped apart, friendships have fallen apart, because like you said, the brain injury. And you've answered that. You've given some good information. But I want you to tell us just a little bit about your book because you're giving away your book tonight. So tell us a little bit about your book before we get these folks involved in, what is it that, the question that they're going to have to answer. So
okay.
tell us a little bit about your new release.
Okay. So, my book, which is actually a journal that you write in, it's entitled Remembering Me When Bipolar Makes Me Forget. I published this journal because sometimes I forget who I really am. And journaling helps me to remember. So if I'm in an episode or um, I lose my way, I can go back to my journal and kind of refer to some things that I've written to kind of help me to remember, like, that I am that girl, like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Because bipolar, depression, anxiety, it will make you forget who you really are. So for me, I think when I'm going through like some of my episodes, if I could remember to jot down my thoughts and my feelings, um, it helps me to come out of the episode that I'm currently in, right? Because writing down like what's going on in your mind kind of puts things into perspective. Like it gets you out of your head, and you can actually like read your thoughts. And when you're reading your thoughts, you can kind of like smile at it, laugh at it. You might get frustrated or whatever, but it really puts things into perspective. And then I can kind of go back and I can read some of the things that I was facing or feeling while I was in the middle of an episode. But I can also read things that I've written to myself to kind of remind me of what I like who I really am. Because this thing called bipolar will make you forget. It'll make you forget what music you like. It'll make you forget who your support system is. It will make you forget to go to work, like how important it is to show up for your job or for your business or even for your kids. And we know that our kids are everything, right? But bipolar will make you forget that you are a great mother and you have these great children. So the journal is really to help those of us who are living through bipolar disorder to remember who you are. And it's deep, but it's simple, but it's hard at the same time. And I think this is a tool that will help a lot of people move forward.
That's awesome. That is really awesome because I'm a person who battles depression. I don't have the bipolar side of it, but I do have the depression side, and it's a battle. It is really a battle. It's fight all the time. But before we go on into our next segment, we're going. Barjan is giving away one of her journals tonight, and the first person who could answer this question is how old was Barjan when she was first diagnosed with bipolar? And Kenny, will you put the Patreon video up while they're answering that question? We're going to take a minute, do a commercial. You guys put your answer in the comment box. And remember to share, 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 and share. All right? Thank you, brother, for that awesome, awesome, awesome promo right there. And guys, remember to support the Patreon. We're working on getting this play out in February, and we need your financial support. We really do appreciate that. And Kenneth, do we have a winner?
Yes. You want to tell them what the answer is first?
The answer is 15.
No,
No.
no, 16.
16, I'm
16.
sorry. 16.
And guess what? We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen.
Wrong answer.
That 13 was wrong for you, Renee. You know it.
We have a winner.
Hey,
This is the
yes.
first one. Michelle.
Yay!
Transformation.
Okay. That's what's up. Congratulations, Michelle.
Congratulations, Michelle.
Give it up.
We will get your information, and Barjan will get that book to you.
ASAP.
Okay, since y'all told me I was wrong, I said 15. That's what I wrote in my writer show. But anywho, and I've known you for a long time, B.
You're supposed to have that number right here.
Yeah, girl, I got so much stuff in my head right now. Ooh,
I feel that.
we won't even talk about that. But now we gonna come forward. So when you first got out of high school, because this story that you told me, that one just blew me away.
Okay.
When you went and joined the military,
Yes.
I ain't gonna even say nothing else about it. I'm gonna just let you go ahead and tell us that story because that one blew me away.
Yes. So, 18, I went into the military, the Air Force. Shout out to the Air Force, my fellow veterans. Yes, I went into the Air Force. And for a person that has a mental health condition, the military was not always supportive, especially not when I went in. You really could not tell anyone that you had a mental health condition. Um, Whenever I had appointments at behavioral health, although they had a behavioral health clinic, you really couldn't tell anybody that you had an appointment there. And whenever I would go to my appointments, I would almost have to sneak, like literally, like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody sees me, because they don't support individuals who have a mental health condition. And so I pretty much had to hide the fact that I was dealing with something that was a physical illness. Like, we call it a mental illness, but it's also a physical illness because it's your brain that is affected, right? But there was no support there. And I did my 4 years, which was great, but it was a hard 4 years to do because there would be moments that, like tasks that would normally take me 5 minutes to complete. When I was having an episode, it would take me a little bit longer. It may take me an hour. And my superiors did not like that. And so I got reprimanded a lot regarding not completing tasks on time, or maybe I couldn't concentrate, maybe I couldn't remember something. And instead of trying to find out like why my troop or my airman um, is not performing the way that she normally does, they reprimanded me. And I remember there was one particular time where I was in this room with 4 master sergeants and above, and they reprimanded me and they read me my Miranda rights. It was just me, and it was 4 men that were like standing over me, talking down to me, reading me my Miranda rights because of something that I could not control. So that was some of my experience in the military, which was not a great thing to deal with. And so once I got out the military, I was on a mission to advocate for myself in this whole veteran lifestyle.
Yeah. When you told me that, I was like, wait a minute. I understood what you were saying to me because this was a condition that you did not receive after being a part of the military. You
No,
went into the military
I did.
knowing that that was your condition.
I did, actually. Don't ask, don't tell. However, the military, which, you know, respect, um, it led to some behaviors. It led to exacerbating some of what I experienced because that's traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
That's traumatic. Not being able to speak your truth and having people come down on you because of something that you have no control over. You know,
Mm-hmm.
would they do that to someone who had a physical injury that you could actually see? I don't think so. So I did what was necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it and I understand. If anybody have any questions, please type it in the comment section because now I'm going into the part of now you went through all of that
Right.
and once you got I no, I'm gonna go back before we come forward.
Okay.
At 18, so you got out of the military at 22, 22, 23.
22.
Because you did 4 years. Yeah, 22.
Right. 2002.
Then your life after that, because you have children now.
Right. I have 3.
So you had your first child at the age of 23?
No, I
I'm
had my
asking.
first child at 20. So I was still in the military when I had my daughter.
Oh, so you had a child while you were in the military.
Yes.
How did that affect you? How did those two things affect each other? With the bipolar, and then this
Mhm.
first time having a child, because so many times after women have given birth, they
Right.
go into a postpartum type thing. So were you experiencing both of those at the same time, or was it something that just came and went?
I don't necessarily think I dealt with postpartum. However, being a parent while having a mental health condition is extremely hard because, for one, a person with lived experience, a person who deals with a mental health condition, has to manage and has to take care of themselves. So the well me has to take care of the not well me, the sick me, right? And so
Mhm.
sometimes it can be extremely difficult to parent or to take care of other people when you are having a mental health challenge or an
Mhm.
episode. It's really hard to be there to support another human being when sometimes you can't even support yourself or manage yourself in some situations. Um,
Mhm.
but to be honest with you, like even at an early age, like when my kids were younger, we've had conversations about what this thing looks like and what it feels like. Um, and I would tell my kids, mommy is not feeling good. Mommy has brain pain. And I would explain to them what that was, what that felt like for me. And my kids have always been supportive. Um, it hasn't always been easy. It hasn't been rosy. It hasn't been picture perfect. Like we've been through some stuff, but
Mhm.
we have an open line of communication whenever it comes to some of the episodes that I have. And I'm extremely grateful for that understanding.
That is great, and that is awesome. And you went into that part with the children, and that's very important because I wanted to hear about that. When you get to that point to where you can't take care of yourself in that moment, but then having children,
Yeah.
then it's kind of like, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I don't want to sound, I don't even know what it is, but at the same time, there were times where the children would have to step over and be kind of like that adult mother type figure at that moment. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, my daughter, of course. So my daughter is 23 now. So for 23 years, she has been on this journey with me. And she has, experienced some things, but she's, stepped into that position sometimes when I couldn't show up as mom.
Mhm.
Um, she fulfilled that role, and I am grateful for that. I'm aware of that. And I, yeah, it's a hard like thing to digest. It's hard to think about sometimes, but that's the truth that we face. That sometimes, someone who's experiencing a mental health condition cannot show up for themselves, which means they can't show up as your parent sometimes.
Mhm.
We don't who wants to be that way? You know what I'm saying? It's not something that we're like, oh yeah, I'm living with this thing just because it sounds good or because we're using it as an excuse. No, this is what we really face daily. You know what I'm saying? And it affects the people who are closest to us, which are our children. So
Mhm. Yeah,
we keep
I get that.
yeah.
Say again.
I said we keep it real with each other. We try to keep it real in my household about the things that I experience, the things that they see me experiencing, and we go through it together. and we're
Mhm.
better for it. I really appreciate my kids and the bond that we have. And it's because of them that I fight the way that I do. I fight to keep going. I fight to be better. I fight to be well. And one day they're going to see me like, we're going to
Oh
win.
yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. Felicia asks, what questions do your children ask you, and how do they support you?
So some of the questions they ask is like, first it'll start out like, are you okay? Does your head hurt? Especially my 14-year-old, when he was younger, he would just be like, you got a headache? Um, are you okay? Do you need to lay down? And now that they're older, the questions have turned into like, Ma, you good? um, do you need us to do anything for you? Um, Mom, do you need to sit down? You know what I'm saying? Like they'll just check in with me, um, which is a great thing because I guess it's like a reminder of like, okay, am I not good, in this moment? Like, do I need to check myself or whatever? So we do check-ins. And what was the second part of the question?
Um, is what are the and how do they support you?
How do they support me? So remember earlier when I was saying remembering who you are.
Mhm.
So a lot of times my kids, they know what I like when I'm well. They know what I look like when I'm well. They know what type of music I like when I'm well. So
Mhm.
they will remind me of who I am. They'll remind me of like, Mom, you're not listening to, your Erica Badu or your Janae Aiko or whatever, like my calming music, my grounding music. And they'll remind me to do that. They'll remind me to go for a walk. They'll remind me to go to the water because that's healing for me.
Right.
So instead of them like getting mad at me or, becoming resentful, it's like they'll pour into me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the
Yeah.
great support to have. Like, this is unconditional love here because you
Right.
have to love someone unconditionally to stay by their side through the ups and downs of this journey. And my kids have been here since day one. And those are my riders, my rocks, for real.
Yeah, and they are a awesome group of kids. They
Shout out to
are.
my kids. Like,
They
mommy loves
really are. That daughter Nyan, those two
man.
sons. So you got a mom and two dads. They are
Yeah,
awesome. Trust me,
you're
I had a privilege to be involved with these kids, and they are just awesome, beautiful family.
thank you.
Someone asked the question, if there is something that is this just something that comes on, or do it have triggers?
That's a great question. So, of course, there are triggers, and half the battle of winning this war or this battle of the
Hmm.
mind is knowing your triggers, acknowledging your triggers, and trying to do away with those things that trigger you,
Okay.
right? And that is something that I put in my journal. That's an area where you have a space to write down what your triggers are. And if you can remember what your triggers are and remember to stay away from them,
Hmm.
it'll help you navigate whenever, you're feeling off or whatever, off balance. Um, so yes, to answer your question, there are triggers. Um, with bipolar disorder for me, um, it does like it comes and it goes. And sometimes I can kind of feel when a shift is about to take place.
Hmm.
And so that's where the work comes into play because we have to get to a point in our journeys, people who have lived experience, that we take accountability for our healing, right? And we take accountability for what we consume, mind, body, and spirit. And so the work is recognizing first and foremost what your triggers are, right? And then doing the work to stay away from those things that trigger you into a manic episode or a depressive episode or an episode even of rage, because that's a thing too that we don't talk about. We talk about manic,
Right.
mania, and depression, but we don't talk about rage. And that's something that does exist in people who experience bipolar disorder.
Okay. And I see somebody recently said remembering what and sometimes who is a trigger, right?
Yes, yes, that's huge. Like there are people who are triggering. And I know there's a lot of people out here that use that word trigger lightly, but for individuals who experience a mental health challenge, there are certain individuals in certain places and certain things that are triggers. And you have to
Mm-hmm.
remember, that's the work, to remember what those triggers are, who those triggers are, and stay away from them by
Mm-hmm.
all means. Like, stay away from your triggers. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yes, write that down, because sometimes, like I said, bipolar will make you forget. Write it
Right.
down in that journal. Do not call this person. Do not answer the phone when this person calls you. Do not allow this person
Mm-hmm.
into your space. And that's the real thing. And that's the work that you
Okay.
have to be willing to do.
That is awesome. And I want to remind everybody out there again, if you have not shared, please share, like, follow, subscribe, do all those good things. We're here every Thursday and we're always bringing you great information, whether it be adults or children. We all can learn from each other. And
Yeah.
that's why we do conversations with Grandma Polly, especially with people who are willing to share. Now, B, we're going to stop right here for a second and thank our sponsors. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to let you tell me about Solidshe.
Cool.
All right.
Grandma Polly and the Big Rig Kids would love to recognize and thank our sponsors for their generous support of the Big Rig Kids organization. Simone Enterprises and Entertainment Company, Mommy Mika Music, Wits, Riders in the Spirit, and TNT, your special agents real estate team, and of KJ Multimedia Solutions.
Yes, thank you, my sponsors. I want to thank you guys so much. And if anybody else out there that has a business that want to sponsor us, come on and sponsor us. We will add you to our sponsorship. And any individual out there who wants to donate to our cause, feel free. We accept those things too. But we're going to get back to B right now because I want you, and I know I keep saying B because I know you're personal. This is Barjan Hall. I personally know her, but at the same time, B shed some light on Solidshe for us.
So Solidshe is my nonprofit organization. It's actually a movement, but a mental health nonprofit dedicated to mental wellness for teenage girls and women. I started Solidshe back in 2015 as a way for me to create a platform for women and girls to come out and speak openly about the effects of mental illness in a judgment-free zone. One of our first initiatives was Cupcakes and Conversations, which is that platform where we just come out, we share stories, we share resources, we are home to each other. Like, it feels like home. It feels very familiar. In this space, people who have come out to check us out have shared their story for the very first time. And I think that's so dope, that people feel comfortable enough in that space to share what it is that they've been dealing with for um, in their lives. And Solidshe is my baby. It's a movement. I have some really dope sisters who are a part of that movement, a part of that tribe, and we do everything in the name of mental wellness. We speak up to silence stigma, which is our tagline, and we will be doing some great work in 2024: horseback riding, hiking, trampoline parks, anything in the name of mental wellness to kind of get us out of isolation and to show people that we can gather and be well together.
Yes. I could remember my very first time visiting one of your roundtables that you do with Solidshe also.
Yes,
And that's a safe place where people could come in and tell their story,
yes,
talk about their feelings, talk about their trauma. And I can remember my first time visiting, and I also remember being a speaker there. And what people don't realize, once you're able to get it out of you and it goes out into the atmosphere, that's when healing starts.
that's right.
Because if you don't talk about it, or you don't speak about it, or you just keep it all bottled up on the inside, it's doing more damage to you
Absolutely.
than having those conversations. So I admire you for that, and I thank you so much. And I guess y'all could go ahead and drop y'all business link down there, and we'll let you know what you say, Kenny.
Do you want it? Is it okay to show her commercial,
Can
her
we show
sting?
your logo?
Absolutely.
Okay. And wait a minute. Again, okay, while we're showing B's logo, I want you guys to go ahead and drop your business link down there, please.
Yes, they did an amazing job on my logo. Love it. Oh, it warms my heart. Those butterflies, literally.
B, go ahead and explain that, please.
So, the butterfly, sometimes when you are experiencing a mental health condition, especially like the depression side of things, you feel like you're dying a slow death internally. And it's just at that moment, like, I feel like the higher power, God, a light comes in and shows me that no, you're not dying. You're actually, it's a rebirth. You're coming out of something and you're coming into something. So that's the butterfly. And then the smaller butterflies, that's the tribe. That's the tribe of people that Solidshe is being a light for. We're illuminating the pathway for others who are experiencing a mental health condition. So the butterfly, when I see that, it grounds me, it makes me happy, it gives me strength to keep on going. And the green is for mental health. That is our color, green. So anytime you see somebody with green on, that means we we are here for mental health. We're fighting for ourselves. We're advocating for others, and we are walking this journey together. And we're not afraid to speak out about mental illness.
That is awesome. Kenny, you see that? Play it again one more time. Play it again one more time.
Yeah.
Um,
Y'all want it one more time?
yeah, let it go one more time. And while you're doing that, I see evolving. That's what the
Yeah.
butterfly says to me. evolving.
Evolving. Nice.
Yes, I like it.
There you go.
Mm. So, bruh, I gotta tell you, you did a awesome job with that. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about creating a animation for your logo. So whoever
Yes.
wins this week, he could create your idea. That's my brother KJ Multimedia Solutions. Y'all that he did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. And Kenny, I appreciate you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And and B, you know what? I'm gonna let you give your final thoughts, and then we're going to close out. It was an awesome conversation, and we're just so pleased to having you here this evening to shine some light on this thing we call bipolar.
It ain't easy, but thank you.
Thank you so much. Any final words? Or that was it?
So, sisters, brothers, anyone that's out here dealing with bipolar disorder, or you know someone that lives with it, keep showing up for yourself. Show up for your loved one. Show your loved one some love, some grace, and learn what this thing called bipolar really is. But not only learn about bipolar, learn how to help that individual stay well. Okay? I love y'all. Thank you for the support. And we're doing some major things in 2024.
Awesome, 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 baby. We want you to hang on, and we're just gonna wave, make those butterflies. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I thank all of you who joined us tonight. Kenny, did anybody drop their business blank?
No, they're just talking about her
They
animated
love her.
logo. Yeah.
Yeah, if y'all want it, you better put your business link in there, and we'll choose someone for it.
It's a
But
real
you
thing.
know what? Huh?
I said it's a real thing. I won that way. I put my business link in there in the comments. Next thing you know, I was the winner. A day later, I had a new logo. It's real.
There you go. And we just thank you guys so much for tuning in. And remember, we will be back here next Thursday at 7 o'clock. And we have another interesting show for you guys. So remember to tell a friend, invite a friend, and keep coming back. You never know what we're giving away from week to week. So we love you guys. Peace out. See y'all next time.